Would you be the jerk if you refused to pick your daughter up from school? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for replacing pictures of my cousins with pictures of my dog? My grandpa's birthday was a couple weeks ago. 6 weeks before his birthday, I texted all of my siblings and cousins, there's 9 of us, and told them to send me a picture of themselves within the next 4 weeks so I could put it on a phone case for our grandpa's birthday. 2 weeks later, I sent the text again, saying I needed a picture of them and anybody that chooses not to send a picture will be replaced by a picture of my dog. I had 3 cousins tell me to screenshot something from their Instagrams. I didn't respond. I sent a text out the day before I put in the order saying anybody that did not send a picture of themselves in the next 24 hours would be replaced by pictures of my dog. The same 3 cousins never sent pictures. Their spots have my dog in a sombrero, my dog in a pumpkin patch, and my dog in a chicken costume. They came over for my grandpa's birthday and saw him open his new phone case. They saw that their pictures weren't on the case and got mad at me for not picking something off of their Instagrams like they told me to. I said that I sent 3 reminders to send me a picture with a clear warning that anybody that did not send a picture would be replaced with a picture of the dog. They knew exactly what would happen. My grandpa finds it hilarious, but their parents are telling my parents that I kept them off the phone case on purpose, and they want me to apologize. Am I the jerk for replacing them with pictures of my dog because they never sent me a picture? Maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of see this as not the jerk, but also like overly petty. Like, to be fair, they did say, just go on the Instagram and pull something off. Like, is it that hard to like go find a picture on their Instagram? I mean, they are OP's cousins. I'm assuming they have them added on Instagram, so it's not like it's an infeasible thing to take 30 seconds and go pull a nice looking photo. Is the fact that they didn't personally hand select and send you the photo over text or whatnot a good enough reason to just leave them out outright? When they said just grab whichever one works off the Instagram. Hawaiian Style in 808 commented, Grandpa liked it. That's all that matters, not the jerk. On the other hand, Effigy for Your Cruelty commented, people are voting not the jerk because it's a dog, but really, it wouldn't have been super difficult to screenshot something from Insta or to tell them that you're unwilling to do so. Instead, you communicated passive-aggressively. You are the jerk. And also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my coworker I'm not surprised his wife divorced him? I, 20-year-old female, was recently told by my coworker, 40-year-old male, that he and his wife, 37, were getting divorced. For context, they had just gotten married last year after dating his wife for 10 years. I've worked at this job since I was 16, and this coworker has become my closest work friend, so I was first to know of the engagement and now of the divorce. We bonded over our shared love of video games. This is relevant, I swear. We both played a lot of games and would talk about the ones we loved the most. In the time I've known him, he's loved Final Fantasy XIV, which is an online game you play with other people. He talked about this game and the people he would hang out with in the game constantly, talking about the hours he spends playing it every day. Shortly after he and his wife had gotten married, he started complaining about her and her neediness. When I asked about it, he would say that she wanted him to spend time with her instead of playing video games. I had told him at the time that he should be making time for his wife, but he ignored me. Over the next year, he was constantly complaining about her and her neediness, and I would suggest taking some time off of his game to go hang out with her, but my idea was always shut down. Eventually, I got fed up with him and asked him to stop bringing it up with me, and he did for about 2 months. That's when he told me about her asking for a divorce. I casually mentioned that I wasn't surprised that she was divorcing him, seeing as he loved Final Fantasy more than her. I didn't really think before I spoke and just said what I'd been thinking every time he brought up his relationship problems. He was shocked at my response and seemed taken aback. I continued saying that all you ever talk about are video games and everything you've ever told me about your wife was negative. He got very upset with me and complained about it to our other coworkers and our boss. We work in a kitchen with only about 10 staff members, so it wasn't too long before everybody knew about what I said. Our boss stayed out of it, not seeing my comment as bad enough to warrant any kind of action. Some of my coworkers around my age who also frequently talked with this coworker took my side, while the older ones took his. It's divided the kitchen staff and made it uncomfortable to work with some of my coworkers who think I'm in the wrong. So, am I the jerk for saying I wasn't surprised about my coworker's divorce? Personally, from the way OP described things, they're kind of like that close friend, confidant that doesn't give you BS and gives you like their real opinion. I think hearing the truth, or at least like a seemingly truthful opinion, can hurt sometimes. If anything, I feel like I would appreciate having a friend like OP, so it might seem a little out of pocket, but like I can't say OP's the jerk. Well, to be fair, it is kind of like an after-the-fact thing, like it kind of was unnecessary. Like, yeah, it's no surprise after you were such a jerk to her the whole time. ToFoolish8889 commented, "Not the jerk. Why is a 40-year-old dropping all of his relationship drama on a 20-year-old? Was he hoping to get with you if he complained enough? And he's been your closest friend at work since you were 16? That's all kinds of ick. He's 40 years old and acting like a petulant child and going to tell on you because he didn't like what you said. I'd limit all of my interactions with him because he doesn't take your advice and then narcs on you. You told the truth. He was a crappy husband and his wife left because she deserves better than someone who doesn't meet her needs and complains about her. Sounds like they dated for 10 years and she hoped marriage would cure him and make him a decent partner, and it didn't. Oh my god, how is this man 40 years old?" On the other hand, DryMirror4252 commented, "You are the jerk. How do you get to have an opinion? Coworkers announce and vent about significant life events. The polite thing to do is either listen, tune out, or direct attention to the work at hand. How does giving your editorial take on this improve your work relationship or work environment? What exactly did you think would happen when you made such a remark? Regardless of his actions, you've affected your entire body of colleagues who shouldn't have to deal with the fallout of such a stupid thing to say. Even if you can't find the decency to apologize to the oversharing one, you ought to apologize to the others." Our next story is, am I the jerk for finding it distasteful that the dinner host asked to split the cost of groceries and ingredients? My friend recently moved into a new apartment and invited me to his dinner this weekend because she's craving dry pot. For those of you who don't know, dry pot is a stir-fried medley of veggies and meat all mixed up with a bunch of fancy spices like star anise and cardamom. It was a cute idea and my first time visiting hers for dinner, so I accepted and asked if it would make sense for me to cook something too. It's a small kitchen. Here's where I personally thought it got weird. She suggested I brought a bottle of wine and then casually mentioned that she would like me to pitch in for the cost of ingredients and spices. Now, neither of us are strapped for cash. We both live in a high cost of living city but have very good jobs and financial stability. I've also hosted this friend before plenty of times at my own apartment, not for dinner but for cocktails. I worked as a bartender a few years ago and since then have accumulated my own bar setup at home. 20 plus bottles of liquors and bitters, homemade syrups and infusions, clear glass molds, cute glassware, the works. That was maybe 7 plus years ago, and since then, my place has become a go-to place among my circle of friends for an occasional pre-dinner drink. And it's really fun creating special cocktails that people will enjoy. I've never asked anyone for a single cent, nor did I feel like that would be the right thing to do, given that I was the one hosting. I felt like, given this context, it was kind of odd for her to ask me to pitch in for money, given that it's never come up before, and I know her financial situation. But she got upset at my pushback, and her rationale is that dry pot is expensive to make, and that she would be the one doing the cooking and cleanup. As of the time of this post, she'd spent nearly $80 on specialty spices, and she still got another $100 plus worth of imported and specialty groceries from H-Mart. Apparently, this dry pot is also going to make 5 to 6 servings, which I feel is even more odd because 1, I was just planning to be there for dinner and wasn't counting on leftovers. 2, you can control how much you cook at one time, so you don't have to make all that food in one go if you don't want to. My take is that if you're offering to host and cook dinner, buying the food and putting in the time to cook is part of being a good host. Her point of view is that making drinks for her throughout the years isn't equivalent to cooking a full dinner, and that it's very normal to ask someone to pitch in for the cost of food, and that if I'd asked her to pitch in for liquor at any time, she would have happily done so. At that point though, I don't know why we wouldn't just go to a restaurant and split the bill because that would basically be the same thing. So Reddit, am I the jerk for being disgruntled at being asked to split the cost of groceries plus some of the spices? Edit, for accuracy's sake, I checked our message history and it was actually closer to $40 of spices, so less expensive than I initially thought. So I do have certain feelings about this, but they're kind of overshadowed by all the extra context that OP adds in. Like, if you're having a friend over and you're doing like a nice dish thing, it's not crazy to expect them or ask them to kind of pitch in for the cost of the ingredients and whatnot. I would say much less so for spices, considering you're probably not using all of them at that time, and the person who's going to keep them is likely going to be able to use it a lot more. But when you add in the context that OP was doing free bartending and providing free liquor for all of that time, I mean, how do you not see it as an opportunity to finally pay OP back for all that? I mean, shoot, I don't forget when a friend spots me a $5 when we go for like 1 a.m. McDonald's. Like, I'm gonna find some way at some point to get it back to them. Kokoro Melody commented, "Not the jerk. This is such a bizarre setup and it's so inconsiderate to you. If the plan was to split the costs of ingredients evenly between you two, that should have been the first thing she brought up. And if that's the case, you need to have equal say in how much gets spent and on what. Especially if it's just you two, there's no reason that dinner should cost around $200 in ingredients. My personal policy is that if I'm inviting friends to dinner, I am willingly taking on that cost as host. Sometimes I'll ask, or friends will offer to bring something, like a side or an app or a dessert, but charging your guests is abrasive, especially if they get little to no say in what gets bought and cooked." Shanster Goodhart, on the other hand, commented, "Everybody sucks here. The norm is that the host pays for the ingredients, but it isn't a hard and fast rule. For example, students might all pitch in for the ingredients if they're having a big meal together. However, usually this would be discussed up front. For example, we all want to make this dish, I'll do it, but can I have so-and-so for the ingredients? Or sometimes you can go and get these ingredients. Providing cocktails is not the same as hosting a dinner party. Also, it might not affect the budget that much if she does make less. If you need saffron, for example, you still need to buy a whole whatever saffron comes in, whether you use a teaspoon or a tablespoon of it." Our next story is, "Am I the jerk for having a neighbor's car towed?" Hello. So, for background info, my wife and I have been living at our apartments for 3 years now and have never had an issue like this before. Our complex has open parking spots that are first come first serve. They also have covered ones you can pay for. We have a covered spot that we've been paying for the whole time we've been here. We did this because my wife gets off work anywhere between 12 a.m. to 2 a.m., so they always have a spot available. Now, last night when I got home, I didn't look at our spot. I never do. I never park in it. I park in an uncovered spot if one's available. Otherwise, I park further away on the street. When my wife got home at 1 a.m., there was a random car we had never seen before. I have no idea who it belongs to. I'm not about to go knocking on random doors at 1 a.m. to find out whose it is. For all I know, the car didn't even belong to someone in our same building. So we called the security for our complex and they came out, verified we own that spot, and then marked the car for tow. My wife had to park way down on the street in the meantime, and we live off of a not-so-great main road, so they didn't feel safe walking from the car. Once towed, I went and grabbed our car and moved it back to our spot. The part that makes me feel like a jerk is that today I ended up meeting that apparent new neighbor. They were being nice, but in an intimidating way. She told me I could have come knocked, that it was okay, she had the money to cover the tow. Every time I tried explaining the situation, she was just talking over me. We exchanged names, she dapped me up, a very aggressive dap I might add, and then proceeded to tell me that the office lied to her. She said they told her it's first come, first serve. I'm a very passive person, so the whole confrontation just made me feel like we did wrong and that we should have just gone knocking on doors. So ultimately, I can't really fault OP for having done something wrong here because they went and reported it to the security. Could OP have been a bro and said, look, maybe it was just somebody confused, maybe a new neighbor, I'm gonna leave a note on the car? They could have, but I don't think they inherently did something wrong. It's not like OP themselves called the tow company up and was like, hey, you need to get down here and get this car the freak out of here. I mean, let me know in the comments. You come home, your spot is taken up. Are you feeling bad about calling security? Are you gonna leave a note and assume it's a first-time offender? I'd love to get into it with you guys in the comments. I Am Irene quoted, she told me I could have come knocked, saying, knocked where? You had no idea who the car belonged to. She said they told her it's first come, first serve. $10 says she didn't bother to pay attention enough to understand that, yes, uncovered is a free-for-all, but covered is paid. She is 100% in the wrong for parking where she didn't belong. You're not the jerk. She's a big one. Don't let her intimidate you. She was wrong. ETA, you didn't get her car towed, you called security and they towed her car. You did everything you were supposed to. Whole Relation 3232 on the other hand commented, you are the jerk for towing when this is a first offense. Your relationship with this neighbor will always be a bit hostile now. You should have started with a note on the car or talking to her the next day. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not adding my mom back to a holiday she dropped out of? I had booked a short holiday package followed by a cruise over a year in advance. Because I would be paying the same price for the cruise for 1 or 2 people, I asked my mom if she wanted to come for free. So she would fly out a few days after me to stay with me for a night or 2 and then join for the cruise. She wasn't 100% certain because she was anxious about flying transatlantic on her own. I talked her through the transfers, etc., and made it as simple for her as possible. I said that I would need a final answer about 4 months before the cruise, as that was the final payment date, and any further changes, i.e. taking her off of the booking, would charge a fee after that point. But obviously, I had to provide accurate information about who was coming on board. The final payment date came and went. She still wasn't certain because we hadn't yet booked flights due to prices being high. We were waiting for a sale. I booked my flights about 2 months before the trip, and she seemed hesitant, but booked hers. The next day, I called the hotel to ask if they could add her name on the booking. It's a very well-known resort, and this should have been fine, but the call handler said no, she would have to buy the package. I rang my mom and said that was incorrect advice, so I'm going to ask the Facebook community for some advice, but worst case scenario, she would have to get a hotel elsewhere for 1 to 2 nights. She panicked and canceled her flights as it was within 24 hours. She said she wouldn't risk going and wasn't prepared to look at other hotels. I said if she cancels her flights, I'll take that as she's not coming because I need to update the booking ASAP as the fee could go up the closer to the trip. She accepted that and canceled anyway, so I removed her from the booking and had to pay a small fine. She didn't offer to help or pay the fine. I really struggle with plans changing. I also live for my holidays, so this was stressful for me. It took a lot to get my head around going on my own, but I finally got excited to go solo. My mom never takes accountability, never apologizes, never gives emotional support, and always plays the victim. A month before the trip, she says she actually wants to go and is going to ring the resort and cruise to try and sort it out. She told me this, not asked. I said I'm not doing anything to help with it. Of course, she then rings me saying that they can't do anything as she's not the booking owner and can I ring them? I said no, she didn't give me an answer when I asked, she hasn't apologized for messing me around, and she didn't help when I had to remove her from the booking, so she just has to accept she missed the deadline. She's upset with me, and I'm mad that I now feel like my holiday is ruined because either I add her back to the booking when I now don't really want her to go because of how she acted, or I don't and have to deal with the emotional guilt tripping. My stance is not to add her, but does that make me the jerk? So in my opinion, OP's not the jerk, she's just way too wishy-washy. I mean, nobody wants a snip snap snip snap snip snap kind of situation. Trickfew commented, not the jerk, your mother is too indecisive to take this trip. On the other hand, I Am Become Soil commented, I'll step out and say you are the jerk. The next day, I called the hotel to ask if they could add her name on the booking. It wasn't her indecisiveness that caused the problems here, and much of the story is fluff. She had financial concerns that you were aware of, you were misinformed or misunderstood that she could be added, and you botched this part of the planning. Our next story is, am I the jerk for laughing at my mom's boyfriend for the birthday gift he gave her? So this happened a few years ago, but this man, I'll call him Nick, still doesn't talk to me. I'm 25-year-old female and I was 23 at the time. I had my first job and my mom's birthday was just around the corner, so I decided to gift her something bigger than I've been able to buy all those past years. She always liked to sew and her sewing machine broke a few months back, so I went and found the perfect sewing machine. It had flowers on it and she loves flowers, seemed good quality, good reviews, etc. I ordered it and it would arrive the next day. Nick was at my house at the moment. He lives like 4 hours away by train, so he's not here often, maybe a few days every 2 to 3 months. I had to go to work, so I told Nick that the gift was arriving that day and I was looking around for a place to hide it. He noticed and told me that he's just going to hide it in a drawer. I told him that it wouldn't fit, and then he asked me what did I buy. When I told him that it was a sewing machine, he started laughing. He said that I don't know my mother, that a sewing machine was not appropriate for a birthday since a birthday gift has to be something more thoughtful and meaningful. I got upset since I'm really close with my mom and I really think I know her more than anyone else. I just left. Her birthday comes and she loves my gift. She was thinking about buying a new sewing machine since hers was broken and she uses it pretty often, and she had her eye on the same exact model I bought. The next day, I told her what Nick said, and she said that she knew, and they argued about it. That night, we went out to have a drink with my brother, Nick, and her friends. At some point in the night, I asked my mom what Nick's gift was, and she told me that he gifted her lingerie. Yes, lingerie, a bra and a thong. Here's where I could be the jerk. I started laughing my butt off, turned to Nick and told him, "After that speech you gave me about sentimental value and not knowing my mother, you gave her lingerie?" while still laughing. I don't think anyone was paying much attention though. They were drunk and having fun, but I think I still embarrassed him. He tried to make a point, but I just couldn't stop laughing, so he eventually gave up. Up to this day, he still doesn't say a single word to me since then. When my lovebird passed, he was 15 and I had him most of my life, Nick happened to be at my house. Not a single word about it. I know he doesn't care about birds, but he knows that my lovebird was dang important to the family, especially me and my brother. Every time he comes, not a single hi either. Like an hour ago, I went to the living room and Nick was there with my brother. My brother said hi and I said hi back to both of them. Nick just said, "Hi, sweetheart," to my dog that was coming behind me. Anyway, was I the jerk for laughing at him for his birthday gift to my mom? I mean, to be fair, it's a suitable enough gift if that's what your relationship is. That said, finding that out immediately after him going off on OP about having to find a really sentimental and meaningful gift at birthdays, is there not something innately hilarious and kind of hypocritical there? Listen, I know you think that sewing machine is a good gift and all, but you have to be really thoughtful. Come up with a much better idea, something meaningful, sentimental. You know, like fancy underwear. Soup Prince commented, "Not the jerk. Seems like he was mad you actually thought about your mom, unlike him who gave her a chore for her birthday. Wear this that I got you so you can hook up with me on your birthday, woo! Just keep being there for your mom and hopefully she loses him eventually." On the other hand, Living Assumption 272 commented, "Everybody sucks here. You two are in a weird competition of who know your mom better. He was thoughtless for criticizing your gift, and you were thoughtless for laughing at his gift in front of people. By the way, each were appropriate gifts for the relationship you each have with her. You both should grow up." Our next story is, would I be the jerk if I refused to pick my daughter up from school? I, 34-year-old female, have 3 kids, 17-year-old female, 4-year-old female, and 5-month-old baby boy. This school year, I have a senior in high school and a preschooler. Originally, I assumed that I would drop the preschooler off, then the senior, and pickup was going to go the same way. But the senior schedule threw a wrench in my plan. Because of all the credit she earned, she only needs to take 3 classes. Which is great news, but that means she's only in school for less than 3 hours. I would have to drop her off after school already started and pick her up 2 hours later. My issue is that she doesn't have her license, so I have to do the driving. I feel like my life is literally just picking up and dropping off. I have to leave my house 4 times a day. I feel like anytime I start something, I have to stop because I need to do a drop-off or pickup. The bus isn't an option because I would still have to drive to and from a bus stop. I propose that instead of picking the senior up after 2 hours, I would pick her up after 3. Then I could pick her and the preschooler up at the same time. I could have a longer block of time to get things done and have the 5-month-old actually get a decent nap that doesn't involve a car seat. Would I be the jerk if I pick her up later? To be honest, and this is probably why I don't have kids, but it would also drive me crazy if I felt like I had to leave the house 4 different times every single day to go pick somebody up or drop somebody off. I definitely think that this should be good pressure to try to get your senior driving, especially considering they're a senior. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't by the time I was a senior, but still, it wasn't getting in the way. I think ultimately though, it's going to be OP's problem to try to figure out some way to make it work. I don't know necessarily if it's fair to make your kids sit around for an extra hour every day. Let me know in the comments, is waiting around an extra hour for your parents to come pick you up just too much? If you were the kid, would you have found a way to occupy that extra hour just fine? No Strawberry 5804 commented, "You are the jerk if you make her wait, even though her grandparents have offered to do the pickups and drop-offs for you." Tillywax commented, Not the jerk. Baffled by comments acting like you're not fulfilling your role as a parent by not picking her up when she wants to be picked up. My last year of school, I also had a short day, and I took the city bus home. Assuming you don't live hours from her school, there's no reason she can't walk, bus, bike, or arrange a carpool with a friend. And if none of that works out, an hour in the library after classes won't do her any harm. I'm not seeing anything in your post about her reaction though. Is she mad? Our next story is, am I the jerk for finally asking for the apartment back after my niece's temporary stay turned into 4 years? Okay, so a little bit of background. My parents own a 3-apartment house. I live on the main floor with them, my sister's on the second, and my niece, her daughter, has the top floor. That top apartment was actually supposed to be mine originally. I even helped her pick out stuff when they remodeled it, but when it was done, my niece moved in for a while, and that was like 4 years ago. I didn't say much because I didn't want any drama, figured it would be temporary, but it's been years and I still have no space of my own. Meanwhile, I'm the one here helping my parents with everything. Bills, chores, appointments, whatever, because they're getting older and need more help. The whole reason I was supposed to have that apartment is so I could be close by and still have some privacy. My niece makes good money, she could totally afford her own place nearby. I can't right now. Then, recently, she started dating an old friend of mine, someone I really don't want in my life anymore. She brought him over without saying anything, and it honestly ticked me off. I know I can't control who she dates, but I don't think it's crazy to be uncomfortable about it. She also dated my best friend before, and I lost that friendship when it ended. And her mom, my sister, has a secret thing going on with my other best friend's married dad that's probably going to explode eventually, and somehow I was the one everyone got mad at for being upset. So yeah, it's been a lot. Anyway, I finally texted her and said I need the apartment. Told her I've waited long enough, I'm not trying to screw her over or make her move tomorrow, but it's time to start planning because I need my own space. Also said just please let me know if she's bringing that guy over. Instead of just talking to me about it, she ran and told her mom who told my mom, and next morning, I wake up to my parents already mad at me. My dad said that I can't tell her to move out and he won't either. So basically, nothing changes and I just have to deal with it. Now everyone's acting like I'm selfish or trying to start crap. I love my family, but I'm honestly just done with being the one who has to keep quiet and live uncomfortably so everyone else can feel fine. So, am I the jerk for finally saying that I need the apartment back and that I'm not okay with how things are? For the record, the problem isn't her dating that guy or bringing her to her place. The problem is her bringing him into my home and without even a warning. I'm also aware that I have the option to move out, and I'm looking into that, but I do care deeply about my parents and don't want to leave them alone. And since people are confused, both me and my niece do pay rent for our spaces. Edit, y'all pretty much just solidified what I'd been thinking, that I need to move out and distance myself from them. I guess I kinda just wanted to hear some opinions on the situation. Also, everyone's saying that I should have talked to my parents first. Trust me, I have. Her forcing this old friend into my life was just the straw that broke the camel's back, and I decided to ask for the apartment, not kick her out. I'm aware this wasn't a great choice, and it's not my decision to make, but I'm fed up with waiting. I'll start looking for some roommates. I don't know about anybody listening, but with the added context of knowing the intention behind this apartment and whatnot, I feel like it would be almost inevitable to not have some kind of resentment. I don't know if it was like COVID especially at the time that made it so easy for them to swoop in and live there for all these years, but if nothing has happened after 4 years, it seems pretty clear that there's no pressure, there's no momentum to make this anything that isn't permanent. Lighthouse on Mars commented, "Not the jerk. Move out, let your sister and niece take over your responsibilities, don't even give warning, find a place, have some friends come help you pack up, and move out when everyone's out of the house, and just go. They will never see your side of things, they've trained you to be a doormat. Nothing you say will ever change their mind, and you will always be in the wrong in their eyes. Time to take care of yourself and move out and move on." On the other hand, Perlillian Window commented, "You are the jerk because it's not your home to kick her out of. You really should have gotten your parents on board, and now that you see how little they care about you feeling comfortable, having space, or even having a say in your life, it's time to find a new plan besides caring for them." Our next story is, am I the jerk for not letting a stranger use my toilet? For context, I live in an urban area where not many public toilets are available. I'm a guy and in my late 20s. I was just on my way into my apartment when a stranger stopped me and asked if he could use my bathroom. He looked like an ordinary person, roughly my age, nothing scary or intimidating about him. I really didn't and don't like the idea that somebody I don't know would see and use such a private space, so I told him he can't. He tried to offer me $5, but it didn't change my mind. I feel kind of bad about it now that I didn't help. Something like this has never happened to me before, and in the moment it really caught me off guard. I'm not sure if I would react differently next time. So, am I the jerk for not helping? I think OP is unequivocally not the jerk here. I wouldn't want some stranger even for $5 getting into my home, let alone getting into my toilet, or, bathroom. Not trying to evoke skibbity imagery. And let's be real here, OP lives in a pretty urban place that doesn't have a lot of public bathrooms. I'm assuming that means a pretty, developed city. You probably don't want to be inviting any strangers off the street into your house in a place like that. Cover character 8179 commented, "Let me put it to you this way. If you were in a city and needed to use the bathroom, would you ask a total stranger to go in their house? Never in a million years, right? Me neither. It's an outlandish, inappropriate request, not the jerk." Radio Lomans commented, "When I was in elementary school, a friend and I were walking home and a dude in a van stopped and asked us for help finding his puppy. Long story short, we said no and told our parents, who told the school, who sent out a bulletin. But for years, I didn't understand the true implication. I thought there was a puppy. It wasn't until I was a teen that I looked back and realized no adult would ask two elementary-aged girls for help finding his puppy. OP, if this guy needed a bathroom, he was nuts to ask like that. Far more likely he wanted to raid your bathroom cabinet or rob you or your home." But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.